Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
The 1990s were a significant time period in European history, taking place mostly after the Cold War and well after the effects of World War II. They featured many developments in European politics, economics, science, and society and culture. Some of the most important European events in the 1990s were political. Among the first was the fall of the Berlin Wall and reunification of Germany as an extension of West Germany in the summer of 1990. Germany's first chancellor was Helmut Kohl. An unfortunate side effect of the fall of communism was the Yugoslavian Wars. They broke apart Yugoslavia and created Serbia, Croatia, Bosnia, and Herzegovina in their place. They also made Kosovo an autonomous region. They began in the 31st of March, 1991. They featured many ethnic cleansings and genocides from both sides. NATO intervened and sometimes worsens the terrorism involved. They did not end until after the 1990s, on November 12, 2001.
In 1991, Linus Torvalds created the Linux kernel and completed the Linux project, which is an operating system for the computer. And this is a free software, and it is one of the most important foundations of all of history, because free software is built by the community. And yes, that means you included. And free software is not like commercial software. That kind of stuff is unethical, it infringes on our rights, and it is complete terrible.
Meanwhile, the Soviet Union was slowly disintegrating under Mikhail Gorbachev after his reforms. From the 19th to the 21st of August 1991, a final stand by the communists was made in an attempted coup against Gorbachev. The coup failed, and on December 26th, the Soviet Union was dissolved, with Gorbachev giving power to Boris Yeltsin of Russia as the successor state of the USSR. Corresponding to this was an enlargement of NATO to include many Eastern European and ex-Soviet states. This began in 1994 and ended in 1997. However, a new force that would prove to be even more influential than NATO in the Western Europe was beginning to grow as the European Union gained new members, namely Austria, Finland, and Sweden on the 1st of January 1995. This would have important implications that will be discussed later in the economic section. Meanwhile, colonialism and imperialism were finally on the decline after a long history of the gradual abolishment of colonies. On the 1st of July 1997, Britain gave Hong Kong back to China as a special administrative region. Portugal did the same to Macau on the 20th of December 1999. Other territorial disputes continue to be resolved. In the Good Friday Agreement of April 10, 1998, also called the Belfast Agreement, the issue of the Northern Ireland, which was known as the Troubles and featured much, trouble, and was a conflict between the United Kingdom and Ireland, was resolved. The economic effects of the 1990s in Europe were also very important. Throughout the period, the spread of the neoliberal economic philosophy occurred. This took over communism in post-Soviet states and socialism in Western Europe. Neoliberalism was a return to capitalism and marked many forms of free market economies and sometimes regulated economies emerging in place of socialism and central planning. It was spearheaded by such figures as Margaret Thatcher in the 80s and Ronald Reagan in the United States. In 1992, the euro was established, which would prove to be an essential component of the European economy, especially, but not exclusively, within the EU. From 1997 to 2000, the dot-com bubble, built on scientific events relating to the discovery and invention of the internet, created fragile fortunes throughout Western Europe and the USA. It would burst in 2000, creating a massive loss of data as well as fortunes. Finally, the Eurozone was established towards the end of the era in the 1st of January 1999. Some European Union countries began to use the euro exclusively and abandoned their indigenous currencies. Not least among the developments of the 1990s in Europe, as well as the West as a whole, were the scientific developments. Among the most early and significant were the improvements in astronomy, which included the detection of extrasolar planets, that is, planets which orbited things besides our own sun. In 1990, the recordable CD was produced, revolutionizing communications and computers. However, a more important invention came on December 20th, 1990, when Tim Berners-Lee of the United Kingdom invented the World Wide Web. This should be the protocol that develops the modern internet and allows people like you and me to connect from an infinite distance. In 1991, the Linux system, an open source operating system, was invented by Linus Torvalds of Finland. However, a far more popular system affected Europe outside of America, or out of America. This was the Windows system. 1995 and 1998 yielded Windows 95 and 98 respectively, which had massive effects on the software industry and on the internet. Finally, in Scotland, on the 5th of July 1996, the first successful cloning of a mammal, Dolly the sheep, was performed. Throughout the 1990s, there were also social and cultural changes. Gay rights and third-wave feminism spread. Third-wave feminism was a new form of feminism that focused on different minorities in addition to women and strove to maximize equality in results as well as opportunity. Multiculturalism spread, which resulted in a massive inflow of immigrants from Latin America, Eastern Europe, and the Islamic world, which has had both positive and negative effects upon indigenous European culture. Finally, a wide variety of 90s music spread throughout Europe. Some of this was unique to Europe, while others was shared with the United States. It included grunge, Eurotrance, and various forms of rave music. All in all, the 1990s were an important time period in Europe, marked by many events. Their influence continues to be felt, not least due to their close proximity to our time, and it is unlikely that we'll be able to truly comprehend their effects until very far in the future. Regardless of what those effects are, it is known that we'll never be able to go back to a time before the internet or a time before the fall of the USSR, and the future remains uncertain, but defined by these events.
Everybody should speak English, of course. It's what makes sense. It's what's logical. Since we are the all-powerful nation of the America, and we own all the countries in the world, everyone should speak English. All right?
That's all, folks.